Okay, thank you for tuning into Stampscaping 101. These are two scenes stamped out by two different people. One is mine, and one is my special guest stamper, my son Sean, who's now 11. And this is, he thinks it's probably his second scene that he's stamped out in his life. And I thought the last time he stamped was in kindergarten, but he reminded me that I did a Stampbord tile scene with the Cub Scouts about a year ago. But I don't know, altogether, you've probably stamped out maybe, what, Sean, 4 or 5 times?
Three.
Yeah, 3 times in his life, okay. And a lot of you might think, okay, well, he's my son, so he's stamping all the time, but ask a kid if he would rather, do Lego or stamp or play Nerf guns or Minecraft or stamp, it's going to win out, so I don't force it. But for my 200th episode, he's agreed to step in and stamp some things out. And I don't know, Sean, you did a great job on the process. You have all the color saturation and glows working in here. What are some of the things you learned on doing this scene? What are the processes that you did here?
Like the colors, how it goes from light to dark.
Mm-hmm.
And also like how to streak it, I guess.
Yeah, how to streak on colors. Yeah, exactly. The color transitions and applications. And what tool did we use to apply color? Put it on the camera.
This.
Color box stylus tool. Yeah, I didn't tell him the name of it. I just say sponging for him. And then, what did we use for adding highlights into our scene?
This.
Yeah, show him the.
White
That's the
gel pen.
white gel pen. Yeah, exactly. So you can see Sean's white gel pen work on his reeds down here, and on some of these rocks right in here, showing the highlights on. What part of the rock do you think, Sean?
The top.
On the top parts of the rocks. And why is it on the top part of the rocks?
Because that's where the moon is shining down on it.
Moon is shining down. He's a natural, okay? All right, so anyways, and then we have a few little highlights in our water. In our water in photography, they call that specular light. It's light that's whiter than white. And it's those little glittery reflections, and that's what's something that's really fun to add into scenes. So anyways, if you choose to watch this video, Stampscaping 101, 200th episode, stamping with kid, hope you enjoy it, and I think Sean did a great job. This is his, so I don't know, on glossy paper, I really don't remember him doing that before. He thinks it could have been his second, you said your second scene, or?
Yeah, second.
Okay, this is his second scene. This is my, I don't know, 1 millionth and second, second one or something like that. I think this is, a really good job. But it just comes to show you how taking things in a nice incremental fashion and building it up slowly can be a nice, easy process, and you can achieve really nice results, with the first things. And you can say, well, that's easy for you to say, he's standing right there. And I was saying, okay, do this and this. But if you follow along with some of these videos, especially the stamp along videos, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. And I'm just kind of going back to seeing what people do in workshops, and I know what tends to happen, and there's just a couple little pointers here and there that can turn your scene from something that's a little bit more precarious to something that's very easy to do if you kind of follow those steps. So achieving the nice color glows, it's about using the lightest of tones. Even though these scenes became fairly dark in some areas, it's really about the lighter tones that give these scenes a nice color glow, and we just use 3 tones of blue, but you can see that rich color saturation happening down here, okay? So once again, thank you, Sean, for stepping in and doing that. We took Sean away from his gaming today. And what are you going to do after this, Sean? After stamping? Deciding? I don't know. What is that game you're playing?
Roblox?
Roadblocks, okay. None of us stampers know that. I don't even know it, right?
I might paint something.
He might paint something. He's doing some Nerf gun modding, so coloring his Nerf guns, painting them, so. Anyway, if you choose to watch the video, hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, drop us a note in the notes section. And enjoy. Okay, this is a scene that I'm going to be doing today with a special guest because this is the 200th posted video or lesson, and that is my son, Sean. Say hi, Sean.
Hello.
And we're going to be doing a scene with the lakeside cove, a moon over the cove with some clouds around it and some different things going on in the water, okay? So the way we're going to do this scene to start off with is we're going to do our sky first, some clouds in here, and then we're going to apply our tones, and then we're going to apply the lakeside cove and some foreground imagery kind of last. This is a good one to do it with because it's a very silhouette-based scene, and we can do our landscape things afterwards, okay? Because I want Sean. Sean has not been doing a lot of stamping. A lot of you will be thinking, okay, well, he's my son, so he's probably been stamping his whole life. But in reality, I don't know. Sean, do you remember the last time you did any stamping at all?
Probably a few years ago.
Probably a few years ago. I think it might have been in... I don't know when the last time you stamped at a scene was. It might be...
2015, 2000.
Oh, did you do something with the Cub Scouts? I'm not really sure. Yeah, he might have done.
Yes.
Oh, okay, he did a Stampbord scene with the Cub Scouts. That's right. I forgot about that time. Okay, so there was that time, and I think the time before that was in kindergarten when I was helping out at I don't know, one of the parties or something like that in class, okay? All right, now here's what we're going to be doing, Sean. Here, step up to the table, and what I'm going to do is I just ink this up in blue ink, so you're going to apply the ink kind of in a tapping motion like that, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to just centrally stamp that out. When you stamp a scene out, or a stamp, remember to put plenty of pressure in the middle, okay? We're going to go like that. Now we could do kind of a reflection type of thing going on, but I think we're not even going to worry about that. We're just going to do a moon over the cove thing, okay? So go ahead and ink this up. This is a number 3. If you have other brands of inks at home, you can do any kind of navy blue ink, okay? Something medium tone to dark tone, okay? It doesn't have to be dark tone. You can even do it in black if you want to, but we're going to do it in blues because this is going to be a bluish colored skin, okay? Yeah, that's right.
Should it be at the top exactly?
No, you don't have to.
Little space?
Yeah, just, yeah, it can be, there's plenty of space, okay? Okay, looks good. All right. Now, we have this surrounding area out here, okay?
Mm-hmm.
To the left and right of our moon. So I'm just going to take the cloud cumulus, okay? Like that. And I'm going to overlap it a little bit, okay? Maybe about a 1/4 inch, okay? Right here into that. Okay? Now, when I do that, I'm going to have to re-ink this again, because if I just go like this and this impression, because I've already stamped it up, it'll be much lighter, exactly. Okay. Overlap again. Now, depending, I have a little bit more space up here than Sean does, okay, right above the moon, so if I want to, what I can do is I can ink this up, and I can put in some additional impressions above. I'm being careful not to stamp over the moon, though, but you can stamp over the clouds in the cloud with moon image, okay? Because we don't want a bunch of clouds right in that center little circle area, okay? Like that. Yeah, I go, okay, let's get this out of there. Okay, okay, good pressure in the middle there. The side. Okay, looks good. Go for another one. All right, looks good. A little bit squared off here, but that's fine because we're going to run extra things in here. What you do to prevent that is change it in the angle a little bit, so it's not so straight and straight, okay? But it's not a big deal because we're going to run a lot of colors in here. Okay, so here's where the fun begins. Not that making impressions isn't fun, but what we're going to do now is we're going to start blending in some tones. If the moon is in the sky at nighttime, what do you think is going to be the lightest thing in that landscape, Sean?
The moon?
Yeah, the moon, because we want that to be our source of light in here. So when we start applying tones in here, we want to keep our moon light. But now this is going to be a lake down below, okay? Now, Sean and I could stamp out our lakeside cove right now, if we want to. But I just re-ink my black, and if we stamp this out and we start running in tones over it, there's a chance that this is going to smear, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's add in some color first, okay? So if you're at home and you're doing this, what you can do is you can just go with any kind of light blue dye-based ink, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to work through a range of values, medium, darker, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take our stylus tool here. You can take any kind of sponging things. If you have things like cosmetic sponges, those would work as well. Back in the day, we used to use paper towels, I don't know, cosmetic sponges were out at the time too, but I find that the stylus tools work really well. So we're just going to ink up here, and I just re-inked this pad as well, so it's really super juicy, which is important. Okay, now Sean, this is what I'm going to do here. I like the moonlight reflecting off some of the water down here. So I'm going to keep my moonlight, and I'm going to keep some areas down here light, okay? So this is the way it's going to go, okay? I'm going to start bringing in some of this ink like this, but what I can do is if I want some of those clouds to remain nice and light, I'm not going to color all of them out, okay? So here's how the streak goes, Sean. I'm kind of going like this, and see how I'm kind of wiping this? So I'm not going like this. Okay, it's more of this swiping motion like this, okay? Want to practice like that? Yeah, exactly, okay? Go ahead and ink up. Now what I do, Sean, too, is I turn my card. Instead of this way, I turn it this way so I can just do this natural motion like this. Okay? Yeah. Okay, so turn your card the direction that you want to do that little swipe there, okay? And start on the outside edge. But do that swipe, don't do this like that, okay? Yeah. And start on the outside, almost off the page, and then work your way in.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah. Kind of more like this, more like this. You were doing it, but then when you would start doing it on your page, you started going like this. Okay? So do this swipe like this. It's like a pendulum, okay? See this? See, my hand is staying stationary like that. So it's like this. Okay? So you get a transition. No, you're kind of dragging straight like this. Just move your fingers. Yeah, good. See, sweep it in there. Okay? Good. Yeah, keep doing that and keep doing that in there. And watch out for your moon. Okay? Now, keep doing it in one area too, like this. See this right here? And then, when I'm ready, I turn this around this way, and I'll do it from this side, okay? So this is what it's kind of looking like right here. That'll be our moonlight reflected on the water, okay? Start off the page a little bit more. Okay? Now, kind of stay in one area a little bit more like this. Okay? See how I'm staying here? And it's creating that nice transition like that. See that? I'm staying in one area. Okay? Like that. No, off the page. Okay, now keep going in here. Take longer strokes. Okay, good. See, I'm kind of just staying in one area like this. I'm always starting off the page with my stroke. Now you want to use the drier version of this when it comes in here like this, so I get that streaky look, okay? Now you're coming really far in here, so you stay off here a little bit more, okay? Off the page. Yeah, keep doing that. Just keep doing that. No, don't move up there. Just keep wiping it across like you're pulling that little puddle of ink a little bit more each time. Okay? Now move up a little bit and start doing it from here. No need to re-ink yet because you still have a lot of ink in there. Okay, but pull it longer. You're just doing these real short strokes like this, okay? I'm doing it like this. See this right here? I'm coming across here a lot farther. Okay? Yeah, re-ink now. Okay. Now start off the page. Get a little bit of puddle going over there. Okay? And start streaking it across. Okay. Looks good. Yeah, keep doing, that's exactly it. What you want right there. See that? How it's creating that nice soft transition. Good. But make it a little bit longer strokes, not just like this, not little choppy ones like this. See this? I'm going like this. See, watch my fingers, not my hand, not my whole hand, just my fingers like this, okay? And come across, not too hard either. That's too hard. Just touch it like this. Yeah, very light touch. And then if nothing's going, re-ink. Just dab it in a little bit, okay? Real soft touch. Good. Excellent. I want to show you this right here. See, this is a little bit harsher right here, right? But see how Sean got from here, here, and now he's done about 4 quantums, but look how smooth that got too, okay? That's what we're looking for right there, this look right here. And that's kind of the key to this whole technique right here, is just getting that little swipe down like that. It's going like that. Okay, now Sean, keep doing that same look right here, okay? And add a little bit more ink around the entire area of your card, okay?
Should I re-ink?
Yeah, re-ink, re-ink. Okay, now watch out, because when it's really super juicy, there's going to be a ton of ink on there, and you don't want a ton of ink everywhere, okay? You want a lot on the outside area, okay? And less in the middle, so you use your drier brush when you're getting into those lighter areas, which is going to be the center of our card, okay? Now what we want to do too is we want to cut down on the contrast between that cloud and the background. So have a lot of ink kind of right here. One of the things I showed people in my video was the 2 quadrants of lighting. So I have a little bit of darkness running across in here, okay? So what you can do is bring a little bit of that tone to separate the cloud and moon from that water down there. And then you can come into it from this side as well. What you do is you turn your card around and come into it from the opposite way. The same way though, okay? Real light touch though. Okay? Yeah. Good, good. You got the touch. But instead of going up there like that, what you're doing is you want to bring it in one area though, Sean. Keep it in one area. So that's what the tendency is for people doing this technique. So they want to go all over the perimeter, but in reality, what it is just staying in this area like this, like that. See that? And then I'm going down here, and I'm going to this area down here. Okay, I'm not going like this, up and down. Okay, I'm getting that long streak across there. Okay, but pull it in across the way. Okay, it's not working up and down, it's working it in one area. Okay, that looks good to me. Let's turn it around and show what we have going on right now. See, here's mine, and there's Sean. Not too much of a difference between my 10,000th scene and Sean's third, probably. You've done one before on glossy paper?
Once.
once. Okay, so this is his second scene, right? This is my first. I mean, this is my, I don't know, 10,000th or something like that. So that's not too bad, right? Okay. I would say that's excellent. Okay, now here's the thing now. We're moving to our number 10 blue. This is a medium blue. It's easier to jump from that light blue to a medium blue rather than just going from something like a light to a dark. That's what I always say. Work up incrementally if you can, okay? So here's what we do, Sean. This is what I really want you to concentrate on here now. When we move on to the next color, do exactly what you just did with the previous color, but see, I'm just staying in one area. See how lightly that's going? It's a light touch. And I see I'm just doing it in one area, okay? And then what I do, as I move, I'll re-ink, and I'll move to the next area. And see how I'm pulling this in? But now we don't need to put it everywhere, okay? I might leave some areas streaky like that, and that's looks like light on the water. Okay, get it? Any questions? Okay. So just work one little area and use a very light touch and just keep, working it in. Excellent. And just keep working it. You'll have ink on there, and then you can kind of just keep pulling it in, okay? So always apply ink on your backstroke like that, not going forward again. Just lift it up and pull it in. And I want you to do exactly what you did there, in here, over there, okay? Just use a very light touch to it, okay? Now this is where more variation starts to take place. You can see Sean and I, we had variation between the two scenes just because of how much ink I applied in some areas, how much he applied in some areas. And now when we start going into additional tones, okay, additional values, we're going to start achieving more and more diversity between the two scenes. Okay, looks good. Hold that down like that so it doesn't bump up on you. Okay. You can get a good amount of ink. You can even put a little puddle of it like that and then pull that across. Okay. So I can put a little puddle of it like that and then that pulls across like that. Yeah, good. It's like you're pulling like a little puddle of ink and swiping it across, okay? When you start to feel it start to kind of grip the pad, the sponge tip, get some more ink because it means it's dragging the paper, okay? You want everything to be nice and smooth, okay? Good, good. Keep doing what you're doing. Okay, now when it gets drier on there, you can kind of come into the middle a little bit more. Excellent. And what I like to do sometimes too, Sean, is I tell the viewers of this channel, I like to make my four corners nice and dark, so I'll kind of add a little bit more ink to those areas like that. Bottom and top left. Top and bottom, oh, this was the left, the other one was the right. Okay, looking good. Yeah, turn it in the direction that it'll be most comfortable to your hand, yeah. See how you're crossing your hand here? Move this over here like that and get it, yeah, there. That's much more comfortable, ergonomic for you. Now the thing about this, Sean, is because we're working with contrast only, The darker you make some areas you're seeing, the brighter that moon is going to seem by contrast. Sean's starting to get into painting. He's doing these things called Nerf gun modifications in terms of the interior and the exterior. He's painting them and changing them from your traditional Nerf gun colors. So, which is not dye-based inks. It's more spray paints and testers, types of model paints. All right, Sean. Next color. How you doing, Sean?
Good.
Okay. Okay, now we're going into a dark color. So it's nice. Here's watch my technique right here. Light touch, and see, it's important to just kind of stay in that one area. Now with the darker colors, we don't go in quite as far as we did, okay? So that way, what we get is it looks like it's going from light, darker, and darkest on the edges, okay? Just keep it nice and loose and limber in your fingers. You shouldn't be any kind of arthritic type of, buildup in terms of tension or anything like that. Keep it nice and light, We don't get darker through the use of more pressure. We get darker with the use of ergonomic, comfortable movement. Very light and just keeping things moving, okay? It's a repetitive movement, but there's zero pressure because I have my hands positioned in the direction that they naturally move in, okay, like that. I'm not going like this, okay? This is weird for my elbow and everything like that. That's why I change the position of the card. All right, looking good, Sean. And see, over the course of this card here, I'm watching Sean's technique develop. By the time he got to this third color, we're looking at some pretty darn good transitions here in terms of, transitioning the darker colors into the lighter colors here. How does it feel, Sean? Is it more comfortable than that first color that you applied when you first started doing this?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's because this isn't a motion that we're doing, unless we're painters or something like that. We're not doing this all the time, but this is pretty good right here. All right. We are ready for some additional texture now. Okay, I was going to do our scenes beer, but I'm going to teach Sean how to apply some different textures using this water texture stamp. Okay, now these are our colors, right? This is a water texture stamp. Now this can be done in one value, but I like using it in multiple values, okay? Because we have this transition of tones right here, transition of values, white, light, medium, dark, we're going to use that on this water stamp. Now, I've done this in other scenes before, but let's teach Sean how to do this, okay? All right, so Sean, where do you think this lightest blue is going to show up if we stamp it in our water? Is it going to show up over here, do you think?
No.
This light blue. Where do you think it'll show up?
In the middle?
In the middle, okay?
Or...
I think so too, because it's white, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I can stamp it in my lightest area, okay? Just light, even pressure, okay? So that's what it looks like so far, right? Okay, why don't you do the same? Just go ahead and fill up that whole area, even if stamp it in the areas even where it doesn't show up, okay, because it's too light. Okay, you don't need to use too much pressure. That's perfect pressure. Overlap it a little bit. Yeah, good. Good overlapping. We don't have to stamp position for anything, especially for a scene like this. Okay. Okay, excellent. What we have is we have that texture in the scenes showing in the lightest of areas, but what about in this area? Now what color are we going to have to use if we want a darker version of that texture? in the water?
Hmm?
I'll just answer it for Sean. All right. We're going to use the darker version of this, meaning the medium tone. Okay, but now here's the thing, Sean. I might be losing Sean's attention here a little bit.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, you're kind of hanging around back there. I'm going to stamp this. Watch this now. I'm going to stamp this darker version in the darker areas, okay? See this right here? But I'm going to avoid the lightest area because it already shows up in those lightest of areas, okay? See like that? So it's kind of more around in here. Okay, yours will be around in that area, okay? Just light even pressure, okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, how about right here too? Alright, looks good. So what we have is we have these transitioning values, okay? But we also have transitioning textures now. Now let's go with the darkest of blue. Where do you think we'll use the darkest of blue, Sean?
In the dark corners.
In the darker corners, okay? Mine will be like this. Okay. All right, there you go. Here we go right here. Yeah, let's see. Let's get a field of view. Sean and I are both standing through this entire process because there's not really room for two chairs here. Okay, that looks excellent, I should say. All right, now, what I like to do, I tend to think that these textures here get a little bit busy, you know, in terms of, you know, from a textural standpoint. So what I like to do is I like to smooth things out a little bit more. If you look across like a body of water, like the ocean, there's kind of streaks in there a little bit. So what I'm going to do, Sean, excuse us, allergies or something, I don't know. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and smooth out some of these textures a little bit, okay? So I'll bring in some of this darkest of tone, and let's put in a couple little streaks like this. This is the way the streak is going to go, Sean. See this? I'm putting that type of thing right in here, okay? So turn your card, and just stay in one area. And what I'm doing, Sean, too, is I'm using the side of this as opposed to the whole flat side, so I have this at a little bit of an angle, okay? And watch this. I'm always out here. I'm kind of streaking in a little bit. Kind of like this, more like this. Okay? Yeah, there you go. We don't have to do too much of this, but see, I have these little things going in there like that. Mm-hmm. And really kind of keep doing that and pulling that across, okay? Good, good. Okay. Flip it around, come in from the other side maybe. You're kind of going like this, okay? Kind of go like this. Do this on your page right now. Just kind of see if you can get a streak going like this. See this? How it's darker and lighter right there. There, yeah. Now do that on your page, yeah. Yeah, good. Good streaking, Sean. Okay. Sean doesn't know what streaking means, I don't think, from the 70s, terminology. I guess maybe they still do that in fraternities or something like that, running across campus nude, usually on a dare. Don't do that, Sean, at school. Okay. All right, let's get on with our stamping now, okay? Now this is only going to cover one little area of our scene, right?
Okay.
We're going with the Lakeside Cove Small, all right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to ink this up like this, okay? Now here's what I'm going to tell Sean on this one. Because we have this light area down here, I'm going to tell Sean, don't ink up this bottom, this part of the stamp, okay? Right in here. Or, after you ink it up, just wipe it off right in here with this paper towel. Because I don't want to have this harsh line of dots. That's in there for a reason, but on this scene we don't want that. Okay, now here's what I'm going to do, Sean. I'm going to position this somewhere in between the water and the moon, okay? Don't stamp over the moon. Don't stamp too far down in the water either, I don't think. Because that's our horizon line out there. I'll aim this roughly about like that. Don't accidentally stamp it out down there, okay? Come down. There's plenty of space, though. Anywhere in between there is where you're going to aim this line of trees, okay? Now watch this, Sean. Plenty of pressure in the middle. Come up like that. All right? Re-ink, okay? All right?
Okay.
Remember to wipe this bottom part off. I'll remind you to do that, too. Overlap this one a little bit, maybe about a 1/4 inch or so. Not, you know, an inch, but overlap it a little bit, like where these rocks are overlapping these rocks. Line them up. All right? See how that kind of merges those two together? Ink up. Little wipe off. Overlap. Stamp. Okay? Start off with your center one, and then work around those ones, okay? So ink up. Okay? Little wipe off. And go ahead a little bit higher. Yeah, he might have done a double stamping there. That's all right. Okay? Do it again on the sides. A little bit more ink in the middle there too. A little bit more pressure in the middle. Good. Okay, looks good. And one more impression on the side. Here, show them where you're kind of wiping off under the camera right here, Sean. Yeah, there we go, so we can see. Okay, good. All right, looks good. The two scenes right here. You didn't use enough pressure in the middle there and that happened, but that's fine. Maybe we'll use a little pigment ink in there, and that'll have the form of mist. Okay, so we have those things working in here. For those that have watched this channel, you know I love texture, so we're going to add some foreground imagery into the scene here. Sean, what is foreground imagery, do you think?
Not sure.
Okay, foreground means close to us, okay? Background is the things in the distance, right? So foreground, and then the midground is the things kind of in the middle distances, okay? I like having things kind of large next to us. I'll tell you what, before we do that, I do have this lily grass stamp too, okay? Let's stamp a few of those in the water. They're just kind of floating around in the water on the water's surface. Maybe I'll go with 3 impressions with them or so, like that. Looks good. Okay? So we have our lily grass, a little bit less pressure in the pad though, Sean. You don't need to press it in there too much, okay? You just need to get it on the surface of the stamp. He used a little bit of pressure, and that gave a little bit more ink around the edges there. It looks pretty good to me. All right. Okay, here's the reed stamp. This is the way you apply ink to a stamp, okay? You don't press it in there, okay? You just kind of dab it around like this, lightly, okay? See, that left the indents in there, okay, from that one, okay? So light pressure like that. And here's the reeds. Now watch my reed stamp, Sean. Light even pressure, okay? Like that. One of the things I don't want to do is I don't want to go like this and then press around like that, and it gives me that, okay? But don't be too light with it, okay? Just, you know, good amount of pressure, like that. And I'll stamp some on this side, like so, and I can change the angle a little bit if I want to. So that leaves us a little bit of opening, and that's one of those openings that we leave so that the viewer's eye can enter the scene, okay? If we do it all the way across, that would look okay too. It would look like we're hiding in the bushes, you know. It would give us the impression of that, okay? So just light dabbing. Yeah, nice light flat dabbing. Okay, good. Excellent. Good pressure in the center. Okay. You don't be too light with it, otherwise it won't print, but don't be too heavy with it. Okay. Kind of hold your stamp like this when you're stamping it out here. Just go like this, dabbing around, not pressing into it. If you press into it, it's going to get on the side of the stamp. Here's what I do too. When you stamp your stamps, this is a good point here. See, I have Sean doing it. Put your stamp down, and I use my finger on the top of it like that, okay? And that's the pressure that you want, okay? So just light dabbing like this, okay? So don't press into that, otherwise you're going to be pressing into the pad. Lightly. Just touching it, okay? Not pressing into it. Good. Excellent. Okay? And just some nice light pressure on the top of it. Perfect. Excellent, okay? Yeah, just dabbing it. You're just kissing the top of the page with that. I mean the top of the pad with that stamp. Okay, here's what we have. This is looking good. We have some good foreground working in here. We have our nice moon. Okay, here's his scene. Here's my scene. I think they look really good. What do you think, Sean? Do you like your scene?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, don't talk away. You got to talk in the camera here. Sean keeps moving. I think Sean's getting bored. He keeps kind of turning around and doing all kinds of stuff behind us. All right, Sean, let's have some fun with a white paint pen. It's not a white paint pen, it's a gel pen, okay? Kind of get it flowing a little bit, make sure it's writing, do a little scribble on your page right here. Good. All right, now, Sean, what I like to do here, let's see, we're going to have to zoom in here so we can get in a little bit. Trying to get the glare off Sean's thing. Scene, okay. Sean's jumping up to see the camera. Or the screen on the back. Okay, here's what I like to do, Sean. If the moonlight is coming from above and shining onto some of these rocks right in here, okay? Where do you think the rocks will be reflecting some of that light? I'll show him.
On the top?
Yeah, on the top,
Okay.
exactly. Okay, so here's what I'll do. I'll put a few little dots like this on the tops of some of these rocks. Now sometimes, Sean, the darker the rock is, I typically have less highlights, okay? The lighter the rock, I might give a few more. So here's what I'm doing. This rock over here is fairly dark, so that means there won't be too much moonlight hitting it because it's in the shadows, right? So here's what I have right here. You see those little highlights on the tops there? Right in here and here. So Sean, your rocks over here are very light, so it won't really show anything. But some of those rocks over here, you can put a few little dots. Just do a little dot touch, okay? Now that's really in the shadows, so I wouldn't do too much over there. And don't press down too hard. If you want a small dot, then put a light touch. Yeah, exactly. Okay, looks good. Watch out for your reeds here, by the way. Those are probably still pretty wet. Now, one of the things I like to do too, Sean, is when I'm looking across a body of water like in the ocean or a lake or something like that, could even be in the bathtub if you have a bright enough light, inevitably what you're going to have is you're going to have sparkles on the surface of the lake where like a crest of a little ripple or something like that might be reflecting some of that moonlight. So what I like to do is you see some of these textures in the water? Mm-hmm. What I like to do is I'll put a few little highlights on some of these water textures, okay? Could be a few little dots. Could be a little bit of a line. Okay, see this right here? And I put them more in the lighter areas of my scene, okay? See this right here? But kind of keep it like this. See, I would do it along some of these lines right here, some of those textures. Not down. See, the textures are running horizontal as opposed to vertical, right? See this right here? So here's one of those little lines from the water pattern, and I'll put a few little dots across it like that. So you just look for your lines. Yeah, you have your lines on. Get it flowing again, like this little scribble. That'll get it flowing, okay? Nice light touch to it. Yeah, good. Yeah, and find some of those textures in there and put a few little dots across it. I think that looks good. Now, one of the things too, see our reeds here in the foreground, they look pretty good and they stand out pretty good, right? Mm-hmm. What I like to do too is I like to put a little highlight on some of these reeds. So see this reed right here? I'll put a few little dots on it like that. Don't put too many, otherwise it looks like we've put Christmas lights over the reeds or something like that, okay? It's like a couple blades, you know. Put a few little dots on them like that, and it'll make it stand out from the background a little bit. Excellent. Okay, so you're just right here. Okay, and that's what Sean's doing down there. Good. All right, let's take a look at our scenes here. We have some good value transitions, some highlights in the left and right corner. I'm debating on whether or not to show Sean the color box pigment ink technique. I think we're going to do that, Sean. We're going to take your scene all the way. We're not holding anything back here, okay? All right, Sean. I don't know if you would have noticed this, Sean, before, but sometimes when you look at like a cloud or something like that, or a moon or something like that, there might be a soft light to it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It means, or if you see some fog at nighttime, right, and light is hitting it, it's going to be a very soft looking fog, right? John? Mm-hmm. You have to kind of answer when I ask something in a video. He nodded. Okay, because they can't see you back there.
Yeah.
Okay, Sean, we're going to make that moonlight seem a little bit softer, okay? And go for some texture. Okay, now this is what we don't want. We don't want a big blob in the sky like that. All right, now we're not going to get that too much because I just found my color box pigment ink is pretty dry, my pad. But if you get that, you can just wipe it right off. So what I want you to do is get a little bit of ink in your Q-tip, your cotton swab here, okay? Get a little bit in there, and now kind of blot it off a little bit on your page, and that's kind of smashing your tip down and getting it drier, okay? It's getting you less ink. Now this is what I like to do, Sean. I like to give my moon here a little bit of a softer glow in the sky. So see, right around the moon, I'm going to put some of this ink. Are you watching? Okay, I need a little bit more. Our pigment ink is pretty dry here, so it's kind of giving us a good consistency immediately. Okay? But for a lot of you, your color box or white pigment ink is going to be very juicy. I use mine a lot, and it's very old. It's probably a 15-year-old pad, I'm guessing. I mean, I don't know. It's over 10 years old for sure. Good. And just keep going around. See, that's what mine looks like. It has this little bit of a glow now. Alright? Instead of like a real crisp, you know, defined moon. And I think that looks a little bit more realistic in here. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen this, Sean. I don't know if we've been around a lake or something like that in the morning where you see kind of mist coming off the... Have you seen mist coming off of water anyway? Okay, he hasn't.
No.
But this is what we're going to do. It does look like that, though. So usually in the morning, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to create a little mist coming off of our lake in the morning. And see, where Sean's didn't stamp out in here completely because the impression, we're just going to run with it and put a little bit of mist around it so it looks like mist is hitting that area. And I do it with the place where I put mist, Sean, is usually right around the shoreline, you know, where shore meets water. And that's where you can kind of see the mist rising. It's where moonlight or sunlight is hitting that mist. And I wouldn't put too much in the darker areas because in the darker areas you don't have sunlight or moonlight hitting those areas. That's why it's kind of dark, okay? But it looks pretty good though. Alright? Now what I like to do too, Sean, is because some clouds are soft and they're made of what?
Water.
Yeah, exactly. It's suspended water. So see this? What I'm doing is I'm making that some of these clouds a little bit softer. Don't put it everywhere. Just kind of put it in a couple little areas, okay? And it'll just make some of those clouds a little bit softer looking or glowing and the other ones not, okay? So see that right there? I put that little area up there is a little bit softer, and here it is in the lakeside area. Okay? Sean's putting some on his trees, and that looks pretty good too, because it looks like moonlight is hitting the trees and making those a little bit lighter. But it's good to oscillate it. Oscillate means have it a little bit soft in some areas, crisp on others. When people put too much everywhere, it's just too much. It doesn't look like anything. Well, it looks like a blob, actually. Alright, Sean. I think our scenes are done. Do you like your scene?
Mm-hmm.
Sean's a man of many, many words, as you can see. He was a little nervous about being on camera. He asked if he should change out of his clothes. I said, they're just going to be able to see our hands, you know. But anyways, pretty good here. Stamping with kids. Sean's 11. I don't know if you've stamped a scene on glossy. Like he said, he might have done one once in his life or something like that. But here's the thing, what comes along, okay? Sean has the deep saturations. They're the same as mine. The thing that's the difference here between our two scenes is I just kind of streaked my colors a little bit farther into it. But you can see Sean's here. It was a little bit more of a straight shot, and he was ending abruptly, okay? So it's about getting that streak across there, but you can see he developed that over the course of one card, basically. He was getting his technique down. It's just a matter of keeping a same motion with your wrist, what the tendency is to fill up a whole area really fast, okay? So they go like this, up and down, as opposed to kind of pulling it in. Okay, now that's what I kind of straightened him off on. I said just stay in one area longer like that, okay? He has some really good transitions and some color glows working in here, okay? And then we have our light scheme, okay? He didn't tone out his moon, he left it light, okay? So it became the light source in a scene. And let's see, we have our textural changes happening in the water. Light, medium, and darker textures. A little bit of blending of it in after that again, and some other imagery in the foreground right here in terms of foreground and lakeside floating imagery. All right. So anyways, Sean, thank you for stepping in and being a guest stamper on the 200th episode of Stampscaping 101. And great job.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed our scenes. Maybe I'll have Sean stamp out some Stampbord or something like that in a future video or something like that again in Stamping with Kids, or a kid or something like that. I was going to have Sean's friend in here sometime. I don't know where we would all stand, or I'd have to just maybe talk them through it or something like that as they stamped along. So anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And I don't know, it could be an example of how to teach people how to stamp a scene out as well, and the things to look out for.